Our B team battles on the beach. It's an interlude with lewd interns. This week on The Hapless Heroes.
If you're going to be famous, it's got to be catchy. You know what I mean?
Hello and welcome to the Hapless Heroes podcast. My name is Dave and I will be your host and dungeon master for this week's offbeat evening where we kind of shifted up a notch, several hundred feet further up in the air, back to the deck of the airship where we are with some remaining interns as they do some other stuff. As we're without Mike this evening and, what do we do best but improvise? So improvise away we go. And we'll start by introducing our cast of interns for this week. Starting from my right, we have Francesco as Tabi Osserman.
Well, hi there, friends. It's been a while.
To his right, we have John as Basha.
Basha Ironback at your service.
And to his right, we have Phil as the dearly awaited return of Hedrick the Entertainer.
Oh, that felt good. Time for a new mission yet?
Are you taking naps?
He just needed a rest. He played for a bit, got wasted, and then passed out. So
and now you're going to be supervising a pair of interns because you're the only hero left to do that while Zero manages the airship.
I could always do with a couple more roadies.
All right, so yes, we find ourselves back aboard the airship, a little ways away from the previous adventuring going on down in the bowels, perhaps. We're not sure exactly where it is, but the secret school found in Legredex.
That seems to have floors that are just sort of suspended in space-time somewhere. Yeah, and I remember Felix had given Zero the sort of instruction that, those weird undead soul-filled construct things that we've been seeing all over the lighthouse were also on the shore, right, attacking our friends. I said, like, if our friends look like they start losing, send in the interns. That was the only instruction I gave, hoping that he would know how to follow that through.
And that instruction was given to Zero, you said, correct?
That is correct.
I mean, Hedrick does have at least whatever intel he gathered while he was down on the Southwind with the Admiral. So as far as him, returning to the ship, he got some grub and probably in the kitchen was like, hey, you got to see these ghost ships out there. These things are fucking nasty. All right, they are going to hell down there. At least telling everybody. So for what he knows, that little bit about being a school or about types of magics, like I think he said scrying. There was scrying magic going on from the beacon.
Yep.
So at least he has a little bit of intel to share.
Fantastic. Zero adjusts his admiral's cap, sitting atop his head. It was the biggest admiral's hat they have. It still looks just a little bit dinky on his large frame.
And it dwarfs in comparison to Quinn's unnaturally sized captain's hat.
Yes. But Zero and his trusty mug of what appears to be somewhat steaming motor oil, as per his usual morning custom, walks slowly but purposefully up to the deck to look over the gunwale and see the unfolding carnage below.
Holy shit.
I can't really make heads or tails of it, but it doesn't look like things are going particularly well down there, does it?
Who's actually on the bridge with Zero?
Zero, yeah, who's there? Not that Zero's saying it to any of you, because Zero doesn't really need to say it to anyone. He'll just exposition out loud like that.
Right. I think I had mentioned last time when I had left Tabi off that he would probably stay. If there's anyone he's going to stay close to, it's Zero, since he's the most familiar to him from, literally episode 1 of this podcast.
Yeah.
Sure. Well, I certainly think at this point, Hedrick's walking out from his cabin quarters and noticing your intent looks like, down over the scene. So he'll sidle up next to Zero and say, any sign of our boars yet?
No, it doesn't look particularly Yeah, I definitely don't see them.
Condition of the south wind.
Oh, the south wind, that's a good question. Yeah, the south wind seems to be holding its own rather well. Its roll came up pretty good. It's surrounded on all sides by a number of ghost ships, but it's doing some pretty slick maneuvering, and its cannons are just cycling super fast. Like, their crew is really working overtime to just start hucking as much metal out of this thing as possible. And they're not lacking for targets. They are sinking ships port to starboard, and they just keep on coming.
Out of curiosity, do the ships that it is sinking stay sunk?
Yeah, once they go down, they go down. But there are a lot of them.
Oh, fuck.
Now the whole island is surrounded?
Yes, the island is pretty well surrounded. It looks like they've got at least the next couple of channels through the islands pretty well blockaded off, in a decent-sized perimeter going around the whole area. Like, nobody's ships are coming with about 10 kilometers of this thing without getting absolutely razed.
Does the Sea Lord's Navy, does it have any ground forces, or are they mainly just holding the perimeter?
There seem to be a few scattered pockets holding defensible positions. And it looks like the sort of places they're holding are the sort, nice narrow gaps, defensible high ground, where the sheer numbers of these invading forces are sort of nullified by their choice of terrain. That said, they're not gaining any ground either.
And from here, can I get a make on what the undead look like? Are they all pretty much those soul-forged egg-shaped things, or are they
are almost entirely uniform.
Okay.
Like, they picked on a design that worked, and they stuck to it pretty well.
Okay.
Whoever done it is either very arrogant or has had a ton of time to prepare.
He's going to kind of look down the line at Tabi and say, hey, feller, I know I ain't maybe properly introduced myself, but, oh no, I did. That's right. You're Tabi. I'm Hedrick. That's right. Have you ever seen anything like these things? I know you kind of did some wild traveling.
Listen, that was a pretty challenging time so far in my life. Just like hopping from plane to plane, looking for my buddy 31 Squared. So we got separated. He starts to like tear up a little bit.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to bring it up.
I mean, I've seen all manner of things, but never these ghost ships or whatever you're talking about. I mean, I'm looking at them, and I don't know. It's just another spooky thing that we gotta deal with, because I'm trying to survive. I don't know about you.
Well, hell's yeah, but I mean, we got some people down there, and I don't know. Seems to me like if there's anything we can do, well, I know y'all are here for a reason, and maybe that gets you one step closer to finding your friend and maybe, becoming a hero yourself.
Listen, I started these adventures in the company of these heroes. So I trust their judgment and I trust their direction. So if we gotta go help, he like grabs the hilt of his rapier. I'm ready.
Fantastic. Can the two of you please find a third adult and get a little bit of an away team together? I want to go with you to see that things are done, but... And Zero kind of looks over his shoulder as Jed Dim is just hulking his shoulders and like visibly sweating as he is pacing back and forth along the gunnel, breathing incredibly heavily. Ooh. Ooh. I can't leave this one alone lest he decide to ram the enemy. So I'm going to entrust the two of you to, how best to say this? I'm going to give you the keys, and I'm not talking about principles to go by, but literally a piece of metal you're going to stick into something to make it run. And it's going to be for this little truck we have downstairs. And I want you to take it on a little delivery mission. And you're going to go deliver some iron to those things down there in hopes that you can maybe turn that target-rich environment into something maybe a little more landable, just in case we need to do so.
All right. We'll make the decision, Zero.
What would you call that thing? Just so I'm clear, we can use the same, technological terminology. I'm not, very intuitive in those parts.
Are we going with Murder Wagon, Mayhem Mobile, Mayhem Wagon, Mayhem Mobile?
Maybe it's a Mayhem Mayhaps.
Mayhapless Murder Wagon.
I like the Mayhem Mobile the most. if I'm just voting as Fran.
Now, does this thing look like the A-Team van? Are we doing the B-Team van, or does it like the one from Aliens?
I think we're about to get there. I think we're settling on the name, and I think that the look is going to come right afterwards.
Yes. So, whereas the A-Team van would be black with the red stripe, the B-Team van is painted a nice, almost iridescently bright white with a nice teal stripe, looking almost exactly the image negative of that van.
And the bullet holes are for speed.
And ventilation.
We haven't even launched this thing yet. How are there bullet holes in it?
They're intentionally put there for speed and ventilation.
I don't know if you remember what's happened the last few times you've visited Zero's lab.
Okay, that's a good point. There wasn't there an issue with some rogue or some striking mimics at one point too?
Yep.
Yeah, that's the kind of tenor that you can expect from that sort of encounter. Yes, of course there are bullet holes in it before it got out of prototyping.
Fantastic.
There's only one gun in the world, and there's still bullet holes in this thing.
As a quick aside, I just wanted to briefly hold here for a second. I had an idea. I need to share it with you, Dave, now before I forget it.
All right.
I have this idea that Zero gets so fed up with Jed because he tries to do something that would drastically endanger, the airship and everyone on it, that Zero kills him. And
I was just waiting for Jed to die via heart attack.
Right. Yeah.
No. I kind of know where it's going to happen.
Okay. I was just checking. I was just curious. Okay, I just wanted to throw that idea into the void and see where it goes.
Yeah. Speaking of the word "throw," we're going to go back to an old word of the day from the old Mad Mage campaign. It's going to be great.
3, 2, 1. All right. Well, let's Hedrick. I think it's probably prudent we go find someone, or we discuss amongst ourselves who we think we should bring with us. Like, I'm ready to go. Looks like you're ready to go. Let's think about who we got aboard right here, who might be available, who might actually be, I don't know, useful in a combat situation.
Well, let's see now. You're pretty sneaky, and hell, I know you know your way around a blade. I myself is as charming as can be. So, what do we need? Create a little balance amongst our posse.
Muscle.
Maybe some muscle. Yeah.
Yeah, we need some muscle.
Hey, Zero. I know you ain't coming, but maybe give us a suggestion. Who are the big people left on board?
Well, actually, hold on. I was about to say I had a thing. If you don't mind, we can try this. Tabby's gonna as I feel like we're kind of talking as we're kind of exploring the airship a little bit, and what I feel like what I imagine seeing is Tabby, because obviously I think we understand how things go with the interns a lot, is that we see Stenton herding fucking cats with the rest of the interns, like Murph and fucking Dedu, and who else is still on here? Pregnart.
Right.
There's a lot of people.
Yeah, we're looking around, and it's almost like there's fires happening. There's things, and Stenton is the responsible adult that's trying to put a stop to all of it. And the only other person who's just kind of standing there amongst the chaos is just Basha.
Yeah, I would say that Basha's the one that's actually just working on his own. He just knows what he's supposed to be doing, and is currently carrying some of the giant projectiles that we were using and moving them around the deck. And he's actually probably making his way back down to the cargo hold right now. So he would be passing your general area on the way down to get more ammunition.
Or you're sharpening ballista heads and stuff like that.
Right.
Okay.
And carrying them like Schwarzenegger back and forth.
Yes. So you run into him just outside of the Scaba closet.
I forgot about that.
Hey there. You look like a able-bodied, aspiring individual. How'd you like to go on a little special ops with one of the finest heroes left on board?
That sounds...
Well, Zero's a hero.
Well, okay, true. Also, quick hold, John. Can you turn your mic input down on your interface ever so slightly, because you're peaking? Say something now.
Yep.
Too much. It's a hair.
How about now?
That's pretty good. Can you go another hair?
I mean, if I just do this when I talk, is that better?
That's much better. Yes,
Yeah.
That's much better. It's not peaking now. All right. 3, 2, 1.
I would not mind joining at all. Tabby, it's good to see you again. Are we all going together?
Yep, friend. This is going to be dangerous. So we kind of need your muscle. We need you to protect us. And apparently we got some keys. I'm going to hold them up. It's funny because even if they were given to Hedrick, Tabby has them now.
Basha drops the gigantic telephone pole spear that he's carrying. Immediately whips out his nunchucks, does some impressive moves, and then the van is nearby, right?
I mean, everything's kind of nearby if you think about it in this area.
The battle, well, because we're in the hold, the cargo hold
Yes,
area.
you are only maybe 100 yards from where the vehicle would be.
So
Battle wagon, aka the Mayhem Mobile.
Right.
Yes, whatever it is, it does need an E on the end of it. Zero is intentionally making sure it's on there because he knows it's going to drive Hoblet insane.
Right. Basha slings the van door open.
Wait, hold on, wait. Have we already gotten there? Because I think if that's the case, we've already skipped past describing this thing, and I do not want to do that.
No.
Sure.
Yeah, I want it to be the slow motion canvas pulled over to reveal his finished product.
Exactly. So let's cut it in from. All right. Well, let's make our way down to the vehicle, and let's see what we're working with.
Okay,
Yeah.
so as the three of you enter the main vehicle hold at the rear, you do see what appears to be a very large mass in the center. You can see sort of what look to be some sort of wheels or tires at the bottom that are strapped to rails along the floor, but otherwise it is covered by a very large drab green canvas tarp.
Well, looks like this is the great unfailing, fellers. Shall we?
It's gonna strum an off-key chord on his lute, and his mage hand will appear out of the hole through his lute, and it's gonna circle above the top and just grab the top of that canvas and whoosh it off to the side over some crates.
And the canvas is whooshed off, and what is revealed there is a very large enclosed wagon, which would look like, almost kind of like a large, old 70s Chevy van, but larger and made of wood and a lot more blocky and angular. It does seem to be reinforced with metal in a lot of places on closer inspection, but the entire thing is painted in some sort of brilliant ceramite white that as you start looking at it closer, you can even see like little reflective flecks in the paint surface. So it's almost blindingly iridescent out in the light.
Blindingly iridescent?
Coming up both of the sides are bright teal stripes.
Hedrick is going to make his way towards the rear, slowly drawing his fingers across one of those teal stripes, because it just looks and feels so amazing.
The wagon is uncharacteristically clean for something owned by the heroes of Talduria, and your finger makes that sound like you would be dragging it across like a really, like well-detailed car or a glass or something.
Is there a sliding side door?
So on the right side of the vehicle, there isn't so much a sliding side door as almost what would be a turret of sorts, without the crew-served weapon, but a seat with what would appear to be something you could mount some sort of ranged weapon on and sit out to the side in sort of an open area on the side of this to fire. It can also be retracted in and be a hard wall.
Yeah,
So-
Basha hops into that for sure.
Just like the turtle wagon.
Yes.
If you ever had the wagon,
Right,
there was that
yeah.
sidecar that kind of shot out the side.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. See, my creative process is undoubtedly corrupted by things I see. Like, it was almost certainly inspired by the turtle wagon. I never had a turtle wagon, but it's exactly like the sort of thing.
No, you want that child nostalgia. You want.
Oh yeah. And it's just ridiculously impractical. There's also the entire back of the cart flips down as just a rear exit hatch. Other than that, those are really the only two entrances. The rest of it's pretty well sealed up. There's a couple seats in the front where it would be driven from. It's not entirely clear how it runs, but it does run. There are some pretty detailed instructions on cards with lots of illustrations near the mechanisms for operating that side turret, the rear hatch exit, the rear bay, and the driver's seat.
Okay, so I guess the next question, fellers, who's driving this thing? I have never touched a device like this before in my entire life. Hedrick, please tell me you got something, man.
Yeah. Well, lots of my strengths are in. I would say pulling one over on people. I basically can make you believe I'm good without actually, having to be good. All right.
Well, Hedrick, I'm going to tell you something right now. I appreciate your honesty, because that's a good thing to establish now before one of us tries to attempt to drive this thing. So it sounds like it's going to be me. All right. And I'm going to sit in the driver's seat and just take a deep breath, like a...
Could I take sort of a cursory investigation check to try to read these directions? Because at least I want to share what I can with Basha in that side seat to figure out what he's going to do there.
Yeah,
Sure.
and I was gonna examine the instrument panel. So I guess we're on the same wavelength here. Like, we need to figure out how this works before we drop the fuck in anywhere.
All right. I mean, if you wanna, can I help you? Can I at least just be there?
All of the stations near there have what appear to be like small posters, like cards, sort of like almost a laminated A4 page that, in bright orange and white, that have detailed instructions both in easy to read common and in pictures.
I have a question. Would Basha's based insight on how weapons work be enough to figure out how to fire this thing?
Well, there's nothing mounted on it, right? It's unfinished. Like, there's no weapon there. The seat is there, but the mounted weapon has not been installed.
Yes.
Oh, I see. I thought it was on there already.
An insight check about it to sort of figure out what's going on, though.
The 19.
With a 19, it's kind of obvious this was probably made for reason, but you could attach any other weapon to it by just sitting it in there.
Oh.
Is there any repeating weapon nearby? Like a crossbow or anything like that?
You could check the bay and try to find out.
I'm not very good at investigating, but I'll look around.
Are there any windows to the rear or the sides, or is the vision mainly going to be up front?
In this, it's up front, a little to the sides, out of the front, but otherwise, if you're not looking out of the side turret, you're not really going to be able to see much. It's made more for, under the acknowledgement that it's getting shot at pretty heavily.
If I'm looking for a crossbow, could I use perception over in investigation?
You could make either of those and just look around, yeah.
Okay, so I got a 16 for perception.
Yeah, there's actually a weaponsmithing station that also has a reasonable supply of weapons. I would say any base weapon you could ask for out of the player's handbook, you could get out of here.
Yeah, it wouldn't be magical, right? But you can put a heavy crossbow on there.
Yeah.
For example. I think the heavy crossbow is pretty much the only good option you have as far as if you want to put out a hurting, but regardless, you have to load it.
Right, either one has to be loaded.
Yeah, it's not everyone's walking around here with an amazing repeating crossbow like Reason.
All right. I will take the heavy crossbow. Can I grab just as many bolts as I can find?
Yeah, they come in belts of 30.
Okay. I'll take 2 belts.
So, because Tabi's flaw is that he can't leave a room without searching for secret doors, I need to search this vehicle for any secret compartments.
Okay, sure, make your investigation for it.
A 6.
You found the glove box. Congratulations.
Okay, I'm satisfied. I feel better knowing that, I know what I'm working with here.
It took 10 minutes.
That's okay. These guys are getting settled anyways. I'm just looking around, familiarizing myself with my surrounding environment.
Could I have used that 10 minutes to perform an inspiring leader? Hedrick is just astounded by this marvel in front of him, and he really, it's like meeting the one, the person you've meant to be with, meeting that car, meeting that vehicle that just speaks to you. This is probably one of his proudest moments as one of the heroes, and again, isn't really going to want to take responsibility for operating this machine. He would rather be driven around. So he feels like he would at least like to offer some inspiration to the rest of Basha while he's kind of affixing this crossbow, and Tabi while he's inspecting and kind of glossing over everything and reading the manuals. So you're going to get 18 temporary hit points.
I like that. That is never a bad thing.
I'm sure I could sing something new. All right. 1, 2, 3, 4. Taking flight. We'll go, go, go. Airship's tight. It makes us float and we'll bring the fight because we know how to land. We're going down. Bow, going down. Bow. Ooh, yeah, we're going down. Bow. Mayhem. Mobiles coming down.
Yeah.
All right, so that is sufficiently inspirational, and everyone receives that inspiration by the aforementioned hit pointage. So everybody's more or less ready to go. You've found the things you're looking for. You've looked around. Tabi, I guess you've been trying to take a look at the instruction manuals, you said?
Mm-hmm. For how to drive this thing.
All right, so after you find the glove box, you do find find your way back into the manuals and give them a good read over.
Okay. I'm assuming step 1 is insert keys into ignition.
That's actually step 4. These are very thorough instructions.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So by the time you make it to step 27 and have actually turned the key and gotten things going, I'm not sure if you forgot who manufactured this thing.
It's like adjust the seat, adjust the mirrors, adjust the steering wheel. Like,
Right.
Yep, there have been like 7 different acronyms you've gone through with different names of things. You may have even you even like checked face arm speech time to make sure you weren't having a stroke before you started.
I mean, Tabi is fairly intelligent, so I feel like he'd at least be able to retain and make sense of everything that Zero's laid out here.
Oh yeah, a good half of these steps are almost entirely unnecessary, on the prime material plane.
Okay.
Several of them were actually things that you think would be good best practices in some of the places you escaped through, though. It seems the Omega Project really is that thorough.
Well, that's good to know. I feel much safer. All right. Well, I'm going to start this thing up, and I'm curious what it sounds like. Oh, he's thinking. I like when he's thinking.
I was also rolling. Unfortunately, it's not terribly impressive. It sort of sounds like one of those like little 1 horsepower, boat motors.
Oh, perfect. That's even better. Actually.
It even kind of smells like it's burning a little bit of oil.
All right.
Do we fill up the cargo hold with exhaust?
No.
It manages to keep most of the exhaust on the outside.
Out of curiosity, I think we should probably open whatever launch doors we need to come through before we,
Okay, good. Because you mentioned launch, there is a separate launch procedure pamphlet that goes through the 15 steps of opening the doors, priming the catapult, and getting your re-entry system ready.
I'm gonna say I'm gonna stop you right there, and we're gonna back up a little bit. You said priming the catapult.
So yeah, you know how I mentioned those rails that the tires were secured to?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Do you remember Mass Effect 1?
I mean, yes.
So kind of.
Oh.
Yeah, it's that kind of party. This truck manages to have some slightly ballistic properties on its way back in as well. So yes, priming the catapult. I'm glad that had the intended effect.
He's really just checking the acoustics in the back of this van, and he's leaned up against the wall, and he's just licking some riffs up and down, trying to inspire Tabi. So I'd like to...
At step 13, you are going to have to ask Hedrick to move off of one of the parachute deployment containers.
All right, then. Well,
I'm sorry, didn't mean to get in your way there, kid.
Yeah, I'm gonna read these instructions aloud to both of them, so that everyone is aware of every step, and I'm gonna make sure that I narrate and announce it multiple times until each step is completed thoroughly.
At steps 2, 5, and 16, it also mentions that the minimum altitude to eject from is 750 feet.
Okay, so we're above.
You are above that, but you cannot eject you can't deploy with that system below 750 feet.
Good to know. Okay. Well, I'm going to suggest we all work together to go through the launch procedures and then buckle up. Is there anywhere to even buckle to?
There are numerous places that you can attach various standards of safety harness to the ship.
I like how he says there's various standards of safety harnesses. I would like to go with the most safe being in the driver's seat, in the front of it, which undoubtedly will be tipped down as we launch down.
As you don't have any metal parts, you have to settle for the second most safe, but it is good enough.
Okay.
It's okay. Even 0 isn't quite ferrous enough for the most safe one either, so.
Fair enough. That's okay. As long as I know, the gauge here, right?
So should we retract Basha's gunner seat into the vehicle?
Yes.
Interestingly enough, that is mentioned as optional yet recommended for organics.
Meaning everyone but 0.
Yeah.
Right.
I love that. So yeah, let's winch this thing in, or however it gets into the vehicle, and let's prepare for launch. Ooh, that kind of sounds exciting to say. I'm going to say it again. Prepare for launch. Ooh, this sounds so great.
Prepare for launch. Prepare for launch. Here comes hotness. Get your bronze. Come on.
He's just ad-libbing over here. That's right. That's right. Let's get psyched up for this. This is our chance to be heroes.
We're hot. Formerly Hokar. We're hot. You guys haven't heard this one yet. You're going to love it. Hot. Formerly Hokar.
Full disclosure, we've probably heard this at least 5 times on the ship.
Yeah, but I don't know. Yeah. I mean, like, I don't know if Hedrick does regular performances for the entire crew.
No, but still, I just think it's fun. It's fun because it's like I think you're just always going to act like it's your first performance.
Yeah. This is a new one coming out as soon as I got time to go to a studio. I'm gonna lay it down.
So Hedrick is going through this in the background as you reach the end of the steps, and the final thing, you pull a small lever off to the side of what would be the steering column for this, and a probably 8-inch wide by 6-inch tall area, right where the stereo would be if this were a car, flips down, and in the center of it, about 4 feet around, or not 4 feet, I'm sorry, 4 inches around, is a giant, comically stereotypical red button.
So Tabi's gonna look back at his companions, make sure they're buckled in, and he's gonna hover his finger over the button for a second. And
Ain't nothing but a button, Tabi.
Just count down to himself. Okay, Tabi, you got this. You've been through crazier shit than this. We're gonna get through this one too. All right, 3, 2, and then he just pushes the button.
I would like everyone to make a Constitution saving throw.
Oh, for fuck's sake. Oh, boy. Oh, boy.
All right.
15 total.
Okay, Hedrick has a 15. Basha, what do you got?
Saving throw 18.
All right, and Tabi?
4.
Yes, so Tabi is instantly rendered unconscious by gravitationally induced loss of consciousness.
Hedrick would like to sling his loot and grab the control levers or wheel helm.
While buckled in?
I
me?
thought I was sitting next to you.
Oh, you are? Okay.
I was
better
in the back. As we got ready, I sat shotgun. I am your navigator.
Oh, thank goodness. Okay, that's great.
I did have my loot in my lap, but he slung that over now, and he's trying to reach over and grab.
Yeah, as my head just like tilted back, like eyes rolled back, right? Just like the
Just
videos you see of people who are in like those like G-force training machines, right? Yeah, like face is like pushed back. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's an almost instantaneous acceleration where you shot out of the back of this thing, and the massive acceleration just plasters everybody into the backs of their seats. And Tabi is unconscious for. I roll a d6. I got 5 seconds. It's just a quick temporary blackout.
Okay.
By the time you come to, you're still a little hazy, but Hedrick has reached over and has his left hand on the steering column, and he's got things steadied as you are now launched out into the wild, empty nothingness with about, I want to say about 12 to 1,500 feet of empty space between you and what possibly be a quality LZ that you are about to clear at the harbor there.
Did I, in any of the instructions I read, learn how this thing slows itself down and touches down?
Yes. So you had to move Hedrick off of a parachute deployment system, and you were given pretty specific instructions for a count that had to be done before you deployed the chute.
All right. So then Tabi's going to come to and immediately start panicking. How long have I been out? How many seconds has it been?
5 seconds.
Okay, 4, 6. Okay, and I'm gonna start trying to hopefully kind of starting that count back up again from wherever he Hedrick told me 5 seconds, and hope that I'm within the right window to push whatever button or pull whatever lever to deploy the chute.
What height is he supposed to deploy the chute at?
And it's 750. We jumped at 1,500 to 1,200.
Right.
So from our DZ.
So probably almost immediately.
Yeah.
So we deploy the chute at 750?
No, you deployed the chute after it was sort of complicated, but it turned out to essentially be a 10 count.
Okay.
Right,
could I say that Hedrick is proficient enough that he landed on the 1 as the vehicle left the back of the airship? Because he's playing a rhythm and he's not going to lose time. And if there's any way that we can make that timing count.
I want to give you an opportunity for excellence in the form of a performance check.
Oh, yes, please.
That's a brilliant way. That's a brilliant way to know if we're in time.
Ugh. Okay. Plus 15, 7, 22.
Yeah, with a 22, not only did you land on it, but you managed to actually keep it going throughout, although you kind of had to do a little bit of right-handed slap stuff while you were holding the wheel for those 5 seconds. Still sounded good, though. A 22 is going to give you a lot of room with that.
Hell, you're probably singing the count out loud.
One-handed slides. Up and down while I'm holding the wheel.
Amazing. So yeah, then I will trust Hedrick's count and pull exactly on 10.
Yeah, so 2.5 measures in, because Hedrick is creates sane non-prog music.
Listen, there are many different time signatures, everybody. Okay, it's just the ones that you're going to be most concerned with are 4/4, 4/4, and 4/4.
If you're going to be famous, it's got to be catchy. You know what I mean?
Can I just say that Basho would like to open? First of all, he wants to put on these cool goggles that he found over his eyes. It looks extra cool because he has these tusks that almost come up to the goggle lenses.
Wait, do you have a specific goggle in mind, or?
No, just ones he found laying around.
Okay, good. I will make sure that, just make sure to put on Bosch's sheet that he has some suitably scientific goggles that look as cool as you need them to look.
And at about 150 feet, he would pull a lever, and the seat would swing out, so we could actually open fire upon making their way to land.
This kid's ballsy.
Yes, and rule of cool will make absolutely certain he survives this maneuver, because I'm not going to punish him.
No, you're just not going to make it. You're just not going to make it easy.
I have to make it easy, but I mean, this is gorgeous scene served up on a platter. I love this part. So yes, you are, even with the chute pulled at just the right moment, and a massive amount of speed being crapped off of this thing, and you actually being able to get that door open, all of these things are going on. It's still a very narrow window. It turns out 1,500 feet falling is real damn quick at 9.8 squared.
Right.
So in a matter of literally seconds, the cart is barreling through the courtyard on the way to the base of this lighthouse, smashing through and absolutely obliterating scores of these Humpty Dumpty ghost things as you blast through and grind to a halt in the middle of this courtyard area. It is a very wide paved street. I want to say it's going to be about 100 feet wide, and it is something like almost a quarter mile between where you hit the boats in the harbor, which is mostly a bunch of sinking hulls at this point of various factions. Things got really hairy there, and now it's just burning ships for the whole coastline. Nobody's landing a damn thing right now. Well, except for you guys. Other than that, it was pretty well occupied. Once you get to that 100 feet wide, about 50 feet out on either side, there's a few kind of steps up of various stones, like a brick path on either side of that, and a little bit of foliage. It looks very nice, although a lot of it's kind of been fucked up by the fighting going on here.
Is there any immediate threat near us, like near where we landed, or is it relatively clear?
Something like, everything behind you for about 25 feet wide is devastated. Like, the pavement's been somewhat fucked. There's just absolutely exploded robots and scraps of brass and wispy smoke bullshit all behind you. To the side, there's
I like to think at least one of them has a crossbow bolt in it from when he flung out, shot a shot. You know what I mean? And the rest of them we ran over, but he at least got one. You know what I mean?
There are a few to the front. Now, as you get out to the sides, there wasn't a whole lot going on. In the sides, there's a little bit, but a lot of that even was cleared by some of these frames getting blasted outward in its wake as well. There's a substantial amount in front of you, but even that's about 20 to 25 feet out, and many of them were flung around and are just getting back on their feet and getting their bearings together. Everything around you after this thing ground to a halt is dead quiet. It's you guys kicked open the door to the saloon and the jukebox stopped.
All right. Well, now I can't continue forward at all? You said there's some steps, so I can't drive.
You could continue to drive it forward, but it's going to be somewhat slow going by the mass of parts. I don't want to drop the name on these things before you guys have kind of sussed it out. So it's just sort of parts that are ground up in the wheels here, and a few of a small pile of them right in front of the van. It might take you a little bit of doing, but you could probably get going again. It's going to be some slow driving, as this is hostile territory pretty immediately, though.
Well, my first thought is to look and see where we can be the most benefit. The idea here is that we're trying to help sway or like change the course of this losing battle that's happening down here.
Mhm.
Okay. Excellent. I want to, I want to kind of time chunk things out a little bit, but I don't really feel like going into initiative for this just yet. So just in my first little chunk here. So, Tabi, first thing you probably are doing is looking around. Then you said, right?
Yes.
All right. Let's make that in the form of a perception check.
Nice. 25.
With a 25, you've got a very good view of the battlefield here. It helps being about, your butt's probably about a good 6 or 7 feet off the ground. So you got a little bit of elevation here, and that's helping out a little bit too. What you notice is it is, at least 1,000 feet to the entrance of the tower there. So there's about a quarter mile total, which I think it's 5,280 feet. So over 1,000. You guys just started in. Yeah, 1,000 feet sounds good. I know, like napkin mathing in my head.
Right.
About 200 feet off to the left, there looks like there's sort of an elevated pavilion, gazebo kind of area where there's a small force of... they're definitely humans. They're defending themselves with some kind of magic, but it doesn't really look like anything you guys have seen before.
Did you say gazebo?
I said gazebo, yes.
Duly noted.
There's no Pregnart, so there's no Bouchonks Part 2.
Could Hedrick assess whether or not they are going to be in trouble, or whether or not they're holding it down pretty good? They're pretty much the closest human force that we see.
That's the first thing you've seen so far. There are a few other enclaves kind of going around that are fighting. There's one really not far from the door to... and when I say door, it's sort of a vast open archway that is 20 feet wide by about 60 feet high with a nice rounded arch at the top. Like there must have been some really glorious double doors there that were blasted off. Maybe it was just open to the air. It's kind of tough to tell, but from there you can kind of see into that giant cavernous open room that was described several episodes earlier in Hapless Heroes episode blah, 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 blah.
Hedrick wouldn't have seen that room. Does it look like the humans are getting in or coming out?
The humans are sort of camped out near the door in maybe it was a guard area or something like that, an outbuilding. It's kind of tough because the windows have all been smashed out and it looks like some of the roof is gone too.
Out of curiosity, is there a path for me to drive the vehicle towards where they are stationed, even just to use it to give them cover?
Which group are you going for? The ones near the door or the ones off to your left?
Which side looks like it's struggling the most?
That would be difficult to tell. It's going to be a coin flip. I mean, they're both under pretty sustained pressure right now.
I feel like the ones near the door, like this path starts to narrow out, you said, right? If we start heading towards
this path goes pretty straight towards the door. Like it's 100 feet wide the whole way.
I don't like making decisions like this.
The people fighting at the base of the tower, like we're here to protect the tower.
Right.
That would make the most sense.
But
Tabi.
Yeah.
Tabi,
talk to me.
Wherever these things are here for, I'm pretty sure they're looking for something that's in that tower.
Right, but our friends are in the tower. Should we just help out down here then? Maybe they'll make it here.
I think at least it would be better to get some information from the group at the tower and then decide where we can branch out across the island or whether or not we hold tight and go in.
You know, you're the hero here. I'll follow your judgment.
Is there anything within 400 feet to shoot?
Mm-hmm.
Within 400 feet, well, yes. Especially if you can see out front. All right, so we went through what Tabi's doing. Hedrick, what have you been doing for these last, 6-ish seconds or so?
Well, he's still playing. Tabi's got 10 minutes for a bardic inspiration. So I don't know, a couple of minutes have passed since we crashed and landed, but sussed out that we can actually operate this thing. He was looking for an audience. So the closest audience to him is 200 feet to the left, but he recognizes that it's important to have the right audience. So he might want to move towards the tower, and he's concerned about his friends. Usually he's the guy trying to help everybody and let them do their thing, but making it easier for them. So at this point, he's really looking for the command. Who is the ground force command that he can talk to? And if he goes 200 feet to the left, he can at least talk to somebody.
And if we can help them get back in, that's safer than being out here.
Okay, so as far as physical action, I'm going to put you down as rocking out.
Thank you.
All right, and speaking of someone looking to rock out, we've got Basha in the sidecar there looking to play his own particular brand of music out of the side of this thing.
Oh yeah, no, he's shooting any enemies within distance.
Yeah, this I've already characterized this earlier as something we would refer to as a target-rich environment, and it has not failed to live up to that promise. There is something like within your range, no less than 50 different targets you could be firing at.
Yep. Shooting in that direction.
All right. By that direction, it's almost the entire 180 arc. It's there's a lot more up front because you haven't run them over yet.
And don't forget, the max range is 400 feet, but anything beyond 100, you're shooting at disadvantage. That's what the two numbers mean.
Okay, so anything
even
under 100.
Within 100 feet, you've still got a choice of targets. Let's say probably about 5 of these things to the front, and maybe another 2 that would be off to the right. You can't really see too much of what's going on the left because of the design of this vehicle.
Yeah.
All right, so that's sort of gone on. And in these couple of seconds that you guys have sort of figured out what you're doing before you start up again in any particular direction, the automata, or whatever they would be in front of you, have sort of shaken off the dust and cobwebs of your particular brand of hapless/heroic entrance, and have sort of gotten their shit together and are glaring and bearing down on the front of the vehicle.
Question.
Answer.
Does this Mayhem Mobile have cruise control?
Good question. You could find out, but you would have to look in the larger manual, and that's going to take you a couple of seconds to find.
I will do that because I have an idea.
Okay, so as the enemies start shambling forward, you're flipping through, and Tabi, I hope you've got your research and pants on, because I'd like you to make me either a straight intelligence, a history, or what else do you think you could justify for trying to look something up in the manual?
I'll use history. I mean, I guess the investigation is also something.
Yeah, investigation sounds like a good one. Whatever one you feel like use those.
I mean, my best is history, but that's recalling something. I'm reading new material, so I'm scanning a book.
Where do you find history in?
A book?
Yeah, that's right.
But have I already read it? Okay, whatever. I'm not going to argue against myself. I'm going.
Don't forget inspiration's a D10 if you want to use it.
I'm not going to add it to this one because this is pretty good. We have a 22.
Yeah, with a 22 on that check, it only takes you about 4 seconds to find it under cruise control. And there are a couple of conflicting entries. One of them, the one that's actually in print, mentions that Zero does not approve of cruise control and would appreciate if drivers are active at all times.
Perfect.
But there is an excised paragraph in the back that describes a way of jamming a screwdriver into the ignition column and wrenching it really hard and getting things to lock in one place. It's
Right.
it's got a couple of strike throughs through it and says unapproved right across the top of it.
So I guess my question is, would Tabi be able to do that and literally just cruise it at like almost like an idle speed? Your boy wants to ghost ride the whip.
Well, if a boy wants to ghost ride the whip, yes, we can do it. It's going to cause damage to the steering column. You're going to have to explain some things to Zero when you get back. But for right now, if you feel like that's the tactical move, that is a move available to you.
Yes.
I love this idea. Let's make it happen. So what we've got is a little bit of a scene here. As Tabi wrenches some things around and does a little bit of, Vesh Kingdom mechanic work on it. Definitely a little bit of jury-rigged farm equipment work, and things are sort of moving along. You've dislodged from a pile of busted automata parts. Things are rolling forward, and I guess what direction are you trying to cruise this in?
Heading towards the tower to the group that's camped outside. Based on
All right.
Hedrick's intuition there.
Based on Hedrick's intuition, and definitely armed with his musical accompaniment, this mayhem machine-y thing that you guys are driving in. Was it Mayhem Machine?
Mayhem
Yeah,
Mobile.
it's
Mayhem.
it's either the Mayhem. Actually, I kind of like the Mayhem Machine better because it's like the Mystery Machine, but it's the Mayhem Machine because it is a van-ish.
Okay.
And it, AKA the Battle Wagon. These are synonyms here.
Right.
Yes. So this battle wagon gets moving along here with Tabi climbing onto the roof of this thing, it sounds like, in an attempt to ghost ride the whip. Now, what kind of weapon are you brandishing there?
My wrist crossbow on my left hand, my non-dominant hand, and my rapier in my right.
All right. Since I don't know anything about Tabi, Fran, have you ever skated? What foot do you skate?
Shit. Okay. So if I'm facing to the right, that's
Foot is forward.
yeah. My left foot is forward.
Okay, good. So Tabi is ghost riding this thing normal stance with his wrist crossbow on his left hand out forward. And what weapon were you brandishing in your right again?
My rapier.
And rapier held at the ready in the right in a very heroic pose. We've got Basha just blasting things as quickly as his reload speed will allow with a heavy crossbow.
I would say Hedrick would at least slide over to the driver's seat, loot in hand. He is trying to, sit there in case he needs to hit the brake, in case he needs to pull to the left, in case he needs to pull to the right, to steer. He recognizes that the vehicle is, going forward on its own. He just wants to sit there, and that's where he'll perform from, the driver's seat.
Fantastic. And just audience, keep this image in mind with this nice twangy tune, because this is where I want us to ride off into a very temporary sunset for the week, and we are going to engage with some mayhem with an E next week on Heroes. So if you like us, and I don't know why you're liking us, but I'm not going to argue with it. But if you do like us, we can be found on the internet. We're in such places as Reddit/r/Hapless Heroes Podcast. We're on Instagram and Twitter at Hapless Heroes. And where else are we? Oh, the Book of Faces, where we are also able to be found at Hapless Heroes Podcast. Every single one of those will take you to the crown jewel of our internet presence, our Discord server, where you can meet and greet and talk to and avoid work with us on a daily basis, as we do on Discord. Now, if you really like us, though, you could leave us a 5-star review on the podcast service of your choice. We're on just about any mature podcasting platform at this point, and if you're listening to us, you already know how to find us. But if you leave us a 5-star review there, we can read that review aloud. And if you leave us really any star review, we'll read it out loud, or we'll engage with it as long as it's not grossly offensive or something blitheringly Q-level idiotic. We're not going to read that stuff. But otherwise, we will read it, and we can acknowledge you as the 5-star human being that you are. Yeah. If you really, really like us, though, you could donate to our Patreon. Patreon.com/hapless heroes. We've got a few different reward levels. from the basics. We've got a nice little patrons channel in our Discord that you could be invited to, and make nice snooty pinky in the air posts and listen to one of those other things it gives you is access to our blooper reel material, which is where the real distilled comedy is. I mean, you really laugh. That's where it's going to happen. That's the real funny stuff.
Yeah, and I was made aware of, I guess, some legal challenges that Patreon's having with. It was mostly like just some lawsuits they're facing based on other content creators that are on there. So for some reason, there's any issue with Patreon in the future, because at the time of this recording, everything is still we're still fine. We will make an announcement in a future episode to direct you to wherever we move to if we have to do that. As of right now, nothing's changing, but I just wanted to put that out there now, just in case by the time you hear this, something changes. And we'll be talking about that in Discord as well. So, John, do you have one? You said you were going to have a few ready.
Yeah, I didn't think of one, so I was quickly making up one because I forgot about it. And if you like us, right now, you love us, Sally Fields and the whole deal, go to Pluto while it's a planet. This only counts if Pluto is a planet when you get to Pluto. So it'll obviously take you a while to get to Pluto, so you just better count on Pluto being a planet by the time you get there.
Count your lucky stars.
When you get to Pluto, make the most gigantic ice sculpture in the known universe. I'm talking like twice the size of Mount Rushmore, with all the characters.
Rushmore?
Bigger. With all the characters of the Hapless Heroes podcast, or at least your favorite one.
Oh, like our faces on that one. That's great.
Twice the size on Pluto.
Wow. That's if you really love us, though.
If you really love us, travel an irrationally long distance to inflict our faces upon the universe.
I mean, you probably have to go and plan on your children's children getting to Pluto to make this sculpture.
We believe in you, though.
Make it your life's purpose, nay, your family's life purpose, and all generations after.
That, or you just create some crazy sublight engine to just carry you forward, that can accelerate to light speed.
Make it happen.
I mean, Pluto Explorer is a hell of a family profession. I mean, back 100 years ago, people were just cobblers.
Yeah, no, it's
hell.
Pluto ice sculpture.
Hell, if you achieve this feat, not only will you have earned our love, you will have earned our respect.
Or at least our children's respect.
Yeah.
No, ours.
Sure.
Ours.
It's a very posthumous sort of respect. But before this gets any weirder, because, I mean, it's going to do that. It's an interns episode. These things happen. I'm going to just outro our cast. We're going to back away slowly, like Homer Simpson, just absorbing back into the shrubs with Hedrick the Entertainer, played by Phil.
All right, here we go.
Off to his left, we've got Basha, played by John.
Reloading.
And off to his left, we've got Tavi Ostermod, played by Francesco.
Action pose.
And my name is Dave. I've been your host and Dungeon Master for this evening. It's been so nice having you with us, and we'll see you again next week. Bye-bye now.
Bye.
Goodbye.
We'll see ya.